Have you ever noticed that you get much more creative when you have limited resources? In the past, fine artists restricted themselves to a single medium for a piece or series, or a limited palette of colors for painting. In the 21st century, we're overloaded with options. People who use computers to make art, especially musicians and music producers, are confronted with the phenomenon known as decision paralysis every time they log in. You open up your favorite software synthesizer, the perfect tool for this creation of yours, and you're confronted with 1,500 presets, all of which sound kind of okay, but unless you're able to effectively mold them into something that sounds like what you're going for, you're already dead in the water. You get disillusioned, you pick up your phone, start scrolling Instagram, all of a sudden you decide a 6-cup of coffee is a great idea. You shut your laptop, you get up, and you never come back to that project again. Has this ever happened to you? Because this has happened to me more times than I can count. The best way forward is to pretend like you have limited resources, even though they're limitless. A lot of electronic musicians whittle their tools down to the very minimum. They have one synth they make every sound with, even the drums, in many cases using no presets at all. A lot of producers will use a program like Ableton Live or Logic and only ever touch the stock plugins and nothing from third parties. Some producers will only make their own sounds from scratch, using samples they've recorded themselves, either walking around outside or wandering around the house. All these methods are exactly like using a limited palette for a painting. Limited options present more refined results. For me personally, I regularly uninstall virtual instruments, sample packs, and presets from my computer. I use the Marie Kondo decluttering method and the ever helpful "does this spark joy?" question. I make a list and I ask myself for each virtual instrument or effects plugin yes or no, all the while keeping in mind the project I'm working on. This method works great. It makes me honestly take stock of everything I have ahead of a creative session and say, do I really need to have this loaded for this project? Getting overwhelmed by creative possibilities is very real and can be a difficult hurdle to get over, especially when you're first getting started and you don't even know what kind of song you want to make or what the song's going to be about. If this is the case, keep things very simple. Outside of a creative session, play around with your synths and sample sets and drum kits and get your head around what they do, how easy they are to use, and decide if you even like them to begin with. Then pick out the ones that you vibe with the most, that are the best for the music you're trying to make, and say, okay, I'm gonna use this synth, these 3 drum kits, and 2 effects plugins, and just see what I come up with. If you start your creative session and it just isn't working for you, great. Failure is our great teacher. Pick out some different synths and drum kits for the next session that seem closer to what you're going for. Or maybe explore some sound design and get to know the synth you really vibe with, so you're better equipped to use it for your next session. You're gonna be a lot happier going deep with just a few instruments than going shallow with many.